Okay, I'm live. So, a couple of things. For those who are astute, I do not have my microphone today. I left it somewhere else. So, I will have my microphone back after Christmas. And I will therefore be probably talking with my hands a lot today. And the audio quality may not be supreme. It is coming through the AirPods, which, for anyone wondering, has terrible microphone quality. But if you are having trouble hearing what I'm saying and it doesn't come through crystal clear, either suck it up or watch another video. Dealing with my suboptimal audio quality is the hardest thing you have to deal with today, then count your lucky stars. So, I'm going to talk today about the importance of optimal TRT care, and this extrapolates out to, I guess, proper, comprehensive, holistic health care, if this is something that you want to foray into. I think that if you're doing well and you're thriving and you're not having any health concerns, then keep doing what you're doing. Maybe get a comprehensive blood test once a year with whoever's supervising your health. Make sure nothing ugly comes up, and Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. But for those who are wanting to get into hormone replacement therapy, and for those who have already initiated hormone replacement therapy, I would hope under medical supervision. But if you've already pulled the trigger on your own, then that ship has already sailed. I am going to discuss the realities of this. And I have engaged in a few conversations recently on social media, which have reminded me why I don't reply to comments anymore. So I'm very grateful to the individuals who I've conversed with. Thank you for showing me that I have much better things to do in my spare time. But I also spoke about this at Silverback, and I'd like to speak about it again today because I think it's a very important reality to understand. And there are a lot of realities in this world that are uncomfortable and not ideal. Inflation's pretty fucked at the moment. What's happened over the last couple of years with, I won't get into that, but all of these things are not ideal, but they are the realities of the world. And when it comes to getting your TRT dialed in or managing your health properly, there are some uncomfortable realities that people seem to have trouble with differentiating what Rollo Tomasi would call feels over reals. And how you feel about a certain situation doesn't impact the realities of it. And I'll use the example that I used at Silverback. If you're having issues with your car and you're not able to see a mechanic, maybe there's not a mechanic near you, maybe you can't afford a mechanic, why that is irrelevant. But if you have a problem with your car and you don't know anything about fixing cars, you have no skills as a mechanic, and there is not a mechanic available to you, you may have the impulse or the conclusion drawn that means you need to pop the bonnet and start tinkering around with the car yourself. Now, the reality of that situation is that you are likely, depending on what you do, depending on your what you actually do with the fucking vehicle, you are likely to cause more harm than good to the car if you start fucking around with it and you don't know what you're doing. But then you'll be saying, well, what else was I supposed to do? That is a completely separate situation from the realities of the vehicle, which is a machine that you are potentially going to break and cause more of a problem with because you don't know what you're doing. So the circumstances are not ideal. The move that you might have to make could be a problem, but the reality of the situation is that if you fuck with the car and you don't know what you're doing, you probably have a statistically greater likelihood of making that problem worse rather than making it better. And this is what I see all the time when it comes to TRT. So what you must understand, and I am not trying to sell you my services, believe me, I am booked out way too far to do this. The solution to this whole video is not to book a consultation with me. I am not selling you shit. I am booked out, so you'll need to find someone else. And this is a problem because I'll be leaving comments in groups and I'll be making statements at lectures or in webinars saying, you need to get a comprehensive blood test with a practitioner who knows what they're doing, who can go through your entire history, your entire symptomology, all of your blood work, and come up with the best possible strategy for it. And then the counter to this is always, I can't afford that. I don't have a practitioner in my area who can do that. Or I'm just not going to fucking listen to you. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. The latter, cool, good for you. Do whatever you want. I can guarantee you that myself or anyone else in this field, we do not sleep differently at night, whether you do whatever the fuck you want to do with your body. It does not concern us. But what we are here to do is advocate for your best interest. We can lead you to the water, but we can't make you drink. It's the horse analogy from marketing and sales. So the reason why I'm so passionate about this is, again, not because I'm trying to sell my service. The reason why I'm passionate about this is that when guys come to me with problems, they tend to fall into different buckets. And Sometimes these buckets can cross over, like a cross section of a Venn diagram. Sometimes it's all the buckets combined. But in general, the health problems that people have outside of rare genetic things, acute injuries, these kind of, these are more rarities. The majority of the issues that I deal with are issues which could have been circumvented with proper advice, proper care, or proper execution of correct diet and lifestyle habits. The big ones, which I've discussed in the War and Masculinity Part 2, which is on YouTube, you can look it up, you can watch the whole thing. I go through it in agonizing detail, so it's very, very clear, is drugs, alcohol, junk food, and not doing enough exercise. That is a big one. The other one, which is very sad, is people who get fucked up from doctors or other health coaches telling them to do dumb shit. People with unnecessary surgeries, people who have their gallbladders removed or their thyroid removed and they don't get proper post-operative care to actually compensate for the essential organ or gland that has been removed from their body. I mean, I've seen guys who've had one of their testicles removed and then wonder why they had low symptoms afterwards, and the doctor put them on antidepressants instead of testosterone. That stuff is sad. That stuff breaks my heart. That's one of the reasons I do this. But the other category is guys who go on the internet and they watch shit on YouTube, they read shit on Reddit or some fucking forum or some group on Facebook, and they fuck themselves up by taking dumb advice or just reading shit on the internet that no one even told them to do and just injecting themselves with it, taking whatever supplement, taking whatever medication, or if the IQ is really low, taking some random fucking research chemical which has no human evidence and just hoping for the best. And the problem with this, and this is what I constantly say, particularly regarding anabolic steroid use, and when I say use, I really mean abuse in this context, is you don't have a problem until you do. So people will go, oh yeah, I'm taking this, I feel great, everything's fine. Well, you could go out and do a bunch of cocaine and drink a bunch of Jaeger bombs and you'll feel fantastic too. Does that mean that it's good for you? No. Does that mean that that activity and behavior is probably going to catch up with you down the line? Yes, absolutely. So the reality of this situation is that when it comes to hormone replacement therapy, a whole bunch of doctors, practitioners, endocrinologists, they don't even fucking know how to do it. This shit is way more complicated than servicing the car, if we're going to go back to that analogy. So what you need to understand is that if you don't know shit about any of this stuff, if you have no background in medicine, if you have no background in science, if you have no background in healthcare, if you have no background in any of this stuff, one, particularly if your lack of knowledge of health led you to needing low testosterone in the first place, how the fuck do you think that you can just hijack your body's endocrine system with a bunch of shit that you bought on the internet and expect to get optimal results with no testing, no guidance, no supervision? No. That mentality is dumb. There is no polite way to put that. That is the reality of this. And if you're watching this and you're getting triggered and you're getting upset by it, there will be a little X in the top window of the screen. Or if you're watching this on Instagram, you can just flick your finger and then the guy with the beard who's making you feel sad will go away. But if this is something that you actually identify with and you fall into this category, your TRT is not going well, you're trying to troubleshoot it with a bunch of shit that you're reading on the internet, you're adjusting stuff based on what people in forums are saying or based on what other people in forums are telling other people to do, and you're just reading that, copying it, and hoping for the best, please stop and rethink your strategy, because you are going to do more harm than good, most likely. I mean, you might get lucky, and I hope you do. But the reality of it is that you're probably going to cause more harm than good. And this is what I see all the time. And the other thing is that the dollars that you're trying to save by not having someone come in and actually solicit their professional opinion to help you out, you're probably going to spend more dollars down the line on either the shit that you're buying to try to fix the problems that you're having, because the stuff that you're buying probably isn't going to work. Someone with an affiliate code is probably selling you the magic pill, which is not going to work either. Or you're going to spend more money undoing the mess that you're making. And that's if you're lucky and it's just a financial thing. If you're particularly unlucky, you could cause damage to your health or even irreparable damage to your health that someone like me or other practitioners, when you do eventually come and solicit our services, we're going to go, look, I don't know how to fix this. There are things that people do all the time, particularly involving pharmaceutical drugs, anabolic steroid abuse, where they come to people like me or they come to people like my colleagues and we go, yeah, look, the solution is a time machine and going back and not doing what you did. That's the scary part, and that's the reality of this. So the thing that I'm seeing all the time in these groups at the moment is people are jumping on and saying, well, what dose of this should I take? What dose of that should I take? Should I add this to my protocol? Should I add that to my protocol? This is an asinine way of approaching this because you're asking for personalized medical advice, which needs to be hyper personalized, which is why you're asking the question in the first place. And you're asking someone who knows nothing about you. And the thing is, and this is the thing where people get really led astray, is that there are people on the internet who have the best intentions and they want the best for you. They're just trying to help. But because they have such positive will, like they mean well, but they also don't know what they're doing, they may also give you advice that has the best intentions, but has the worst outcome. And this is something that happens all the time. People come to me and they go, well, I did this because this guy in that forum said if this was happening, I should do this and this and this and this. And then you extrapolate that out over months and years. And now we've got a way bigger problem to clean up than we would have if you just done it right in the first place. So long story short, the moral of this story is please, from day one, or whether you're watching this now and you're down the line and you've got a mess going on, don't get frustrated that you don't know how to do something that you don't know how to do. That's the most important thing. And I see guys doing this all the time. They're getting in groups, they're getting exasperated, they're getting frustrated, they're venting a whole bunch of negative emotion because I've tried this and it doesn't work, and I've tried that and I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do, this. You're not supposed to, because this stuff is nuanced and complex, especially if you're a less straightforward case. Guys who are trying to optimize their thyroid, pregnenolone, DHEA, fertility, different ancillaries with combined pre-existing medical conditions. How on earth do you think that you're going to get the optimal outcome, which is what your expectations are? Like when guys come into groups and they're like, hey, like I'm fucked up and I just need a short-term band-aid to not feel like shit while I get my stuff together, groups can help with that. And when guys come into groups being like, hey, I'm looking for educational advice on this concept so that I can speak to my doctor or do some more research, that's what groups are for. But coming in and expecting to get a personalized diagnosis from a group community, outsourcing your health, crowdsourcing your health to a bunch of strangers on the internet who are also in that group because they're also lost. I mean, you're walking out into the forest and you're asking a whole bunch of other people who are lost in the forest how to get out. They don't fucking know either. That's why they're still in that forest too. So this is not to try to get money out of people. I have made so many YouTube videos and I spend so much of my free time trying to help and educate around this topic. But what I want you guys to understand as someone who can see around the corner of what's coming up for you is that all the paths that you're going down, unless you fluke it, and again, I hope you do, but they're going to lead to a dead end. And what you can do is you can circumvent wasting your time and risking your health going down these pathways by just following this advice and getting a comprehensive blood panel. So everything all snapshot together, you compile your history, you compile all your symptoms, and you find someone who is specialized in dealing with your demographic and your exact situation. That is the blessing of the internet. You can solicit professionals all over the world to give you advice on exactly what you're going through, and there are people who do this. So don't guess, test, and then take the results and take the situation that you don't understand, outsource that advice and that direction to someone who specializes in that field to save yourself money, time, and suffering down the track, because this is the only way that you guys are actually going to get the results that you have the expectations that you're hoping to get. Hope that helps.